Hello, and welcome back to my playthrough of Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, or as I'm calling it, Pokemon Let's Go Clefairy, because I am treating Clefairy as my starter. Last time we kind of talked about the basics of the game, and today we're gonna actually get right into it. We're gonna go through a forest, and then we will fight a gym leader, which is a significant trainer and the best way to progress through the game. So throughout the game you will see these signs, which will basically tell you which route you're at, and also which direction things are. So Route 2 connects Viridian City with Pewter City, which is where we're headed. Now there are roadblocks, so for example there's this tree that we cannot go through. It looks like it can be chopped down, but we don't know how to chop it down. So instead we're just gonna keep on following this route over here. And there is a nice grassy area. As you can see, a Bellsprout has spawned in. There are a bunch of other Pokemon that will appear in this area. There are two new Pokemon actually that we have not yet seen. Those two Pokemon are Caterpie and Weedle, but they will also appear in the forest. So instead of walking around here waiting for the Caterpie and the Weedle to show up, I'm just gonna go straight into the forest. And then you have this nice building which basically blocks you from flying into the forest, but we can walk right into it. Have this, I believe it's the Pokemon Center music, and then there's these two trainers up in here. If your Pokemon uses a move that's the same type as itself, the move's power will get a boost. Oh yes, today we're gonna be talking about battles, and I will explain what this girl just talked about, but let's see what this girl's gotta say. Are you going to Viridian Forest? It's a natural maze in there. Be careful you don't get lost. Alright, so the thing that this girl talked about is something commonly known to most Pokemon games, and it is a thing called Stab, same type ability bonus. So using a move that's the same type as your Pokemon will make that move do 50% more damage, which is really nice. Well, and here we are in Viridian Forest, and as you can see, you can catch a Pikachu. You can literally encounter Pikachus in Viridian Forest. I believe their rarity is 5%, so they're not like super common. But if you did choose Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and you wanted a Pikachu on your team, you can get one in this forest. Now as you can see, the ring around it is yellow instead of the usual green. And as the game suggested, we can give it a raspberry. Yellow means it's harder to capture. So we will give this Pikachu a berry, and the Pikachu now has a green circle around it, meaning it is easier to catch. If only I can get my throws right. Oh, see, it canceled our throw right there. And we got a great. Now I don't know if you noticed, but this Pikachu had a heart shape on its tail, and that's one of the gender differences I talked about in the previous episode. Pikachu that are male have the flat tail that you can see in the anime, so Ash's Pikachu is a boy Pikachu, and female Pikachu have a heart on their tail. So let's see what the Pokédex has to say about Pikachu. This forest-dwelling Pokemon stores electricity in its cheeks, so you'll feel a tingly shock if you touch it. It's like, I just imagine hugging a Pikachu is like after you've like rubbed your feet on the carpet and you walked for a bit. Now we collected an antidote. Antidote will cure your Pokemon from poison, which is a status condition, where they will lose HP every turn. Oh, and look at these guys right here. Oh, Pokemon can despawn. If you take too long, they will despawn. Let's catch this guy. He's just chilling. This is a Metapod. Pretty famous for its move Harden. Now, I'm gonna actually be silly and throw a Pokeball even though it's yellow. Just to kind of show you, I don't know if it's gonna fail, but usually if it's yellow, there is a bigger chance that the capture will fail, and as you saw, the capture just failed. Now, that doesn't mean that you should use a berry, it just means you can throw more Pokeballs, or you can try and use a berry. The other option is to use better Pokeballs, which we can see later in the game, but as you see, it just worked fine on the second try. So, it wasn't too much of a big deal. Well, let's see what the Pokédex got to say about the Metapods. Tuturu hardens its shell to protect itself. However, a large impact may cause it to pop out of its shell. Does that mean there's something inside of there? Oh, you can also use the directional keys and it will let you move the Pokemon around. I forgot to mention that last time, so you can see Metapod from every angle, in case you wanted to do that. Alright, we have these signs. These signs are actually trainer tips. So, for poison, use antidote. For paralysis, use paralysis heal. Get them at the Pokemart. There are also advertisements, apparently. Now, this forest is a pretty big region. Oh, there's the other cocoon Pokemon you can catch in the area. This one's Kakuna, and it evolves from Weedle. And of course, I'd run into the evolved versions first. But it is what it is. Now, you might have noticed by this point that there is sometimes text that appears when you throw a Pokeball. And that all depends on how big the circle is when you hit the Pokemon. Really big circle is not going to have any letters. The smaller it is, the closer you get to excellent. And I think that increases your chances of capturing the wild Pokemon. So Kakuna is added to our Pokédex, and they are able to move only slightly. When endangered, it may stick out its stinger and poison its enemy. I don't really see a stinger. I assume it's that bow tie looking thing. Look at it. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it, but Kakuna all wear bow ties. Not bow ties. What am I saying? Ties. Either way, we have captured ourselves a Kakuna, and Kakuna has been added to our party. Now down here we see these guys that one of them had despawned on us earlier. These are Caterpie. Might as well catch one of those. Caterpie is the first Pokemon Ash has caught, and it is one of my favorite Pokemon in this region. Also, sorry for the coughing, I'm kind of sick when recording this. Alright, get ready. And whoop. See, this one had a nice just because the circle was a tad smaller. That all depends on when you get the throw. So it does not mean that it will capture the Pokemon. And excellent, when the circle was really small. Hopefully I'll have screenshots in post. Excellent makes it much more likely that you will capture the Pokemon. And as you can see, we have captured ourselves a Caterpie. Caterpie evolves into Metapod. As you can see, the Metapod's leveling up over there as well. Now we have not yet gotten to see evolution. Hopefully we'll get this Caterpie to evolve. If you touch the feelers on top of its head, it will release a horrible stink to protect itself. I don't want to know what that smells like. I'm just assuming it's like a stink bug type of situation. And moving on. Let's see what this guy has to say, because we kind of just completely walked away from him. I came here with some friends to catch us some bug Pokemon. My pals are all itching to get into some Pokemon battles. Us too, buddy. Alright, there's a Kakuna that we've already captured. Oh, you see this Pidgey? It's surrounded by this, what is it, reddish, yellowish glows. And if you go into battle, it says it's huge. So the colors in the overworld will represent how big or small the Pokemon is. Let's toss a Pokeball and miss, because this is how you'll be a Pokemon master. You gotta miss half your catches. Now, a size of a Pokemon, I believe that will impact the IVs it has. And I'm going to talk about IVs right about after this screen. So once we're done capturing the Pokemon, we're gonna get level ups, all that. And this will show us the Pokédex page. I doofed up last time. This is the Pokédex page without the description. And on the right hand side, you can see there's a personal records for height and weight. So since this Pokemon is huge, we can see a bigger size. Now, this will get added to our party, and I will open up my party just so I can show you guys what I'm talking about stat-wise. So let's go to this Caterpie, and we're going to go into checking its summary. That sounded weird. At the start, you can just see its level, the type it has, how much HP it has, which is 19 points, also its height and weight, the level you met it at, and where you captured it. Now, if you press A, it will be taken to this page, which shows you how much experience you need for the next level, the trainer ID, which in this case, this is my trainer ID. You also see the moves it can use, and then you can also see that spider web chart. I forget what those charts are called, with a bunch of numbers next to it. Those numbers are the stats it has. So, for example, the speed stat of a Pidgey is 13, and the speed stat of our Caterpie is 9. So if Caterpie and Pidgey are having a fight, Pidgey will get to move first because it has a higher speed stat. Now in terms of attacks, you have normal attack and special attack. Normal attack will increase the amount of damage you do with physical attacks, and special attack is how much damage you do with special attacks. How do you know the difference? You can open up an attack, and do you see that like punchy looking thing right next to power? That means the tackle is a physical attack. It will do 40 damage and it has an accuracy of 100. Now we can go back and we can open up Gust. And Gust has a little ripply thing looking thing. That means it's a special attack. It also has a power of 40 and an accuracy of 100. So the only difference between Gust and Tackle for Pidgey is that one does physical attack, one does physical damage, and the other one does special damage. Now since both of its stats are the same, it doesn't matter, but for other Pokemon you might want to change which type of move you're using. So, for example, Pikachu has a much higher, well not in this case, but 10 versus 9. Pikachu has higher special attack than physical attack, so you might benefit from using special moves when you're fighting with Pikachu. And we can see more of that once we get ourselves into a battle. Another thing I want to show off before we get into this battle is actually that you can switch whoever's in front of your party. So for this first battle, we'll have Billy in the lead. You can see that Billy's the first, and this trainer will challenge us. Hey, do you have a big Pikachu? No, I just have a normal Pikachu. I'm pretty sure a Pikachu is just average size. Last, Joanna. I believe it's pronounced Joanna. And she has a Rattata. Why is she asking us about Pikachus? I don't know. I guess they're both mouse Pokemon. Maybe she likes the mousy Pokemons. And I'm going to go for a Pound, which is a physical move. So now we know that when Clefairy is using Pound, it's using that physical attack stat to figure out how much damage it will do. Oh no, and we got 80 Pokédollars for winning and 3 Pokeballs. Again, Pokeballs are really helpful, especially if you're like me and you miss capturing Pokemon. That's really fun. Alright, next up, let's change the Pokemon who's going to be in our lead. And it's no fun just using Billy to wreck everything in our way. We can actually go to this thing that's called Move Pokemon. And this will let us switch where in the party that Pokemon is. So I'll put Pidgey at the front. And another cool feature, since we're already here, is that you can now just change the nickname of your Pokemon on the go. Hahaha. And it's just this change name thing, so you can rename the Pidgey. And I'll just name this Pidgey Sass. Because why not? Ta-da! It might be easier to do if you have, if you're playing this on handheld. So now when we go to fight this trainer, come on, trainer, fight us. Oh, you have a partner Pokemon? Let me get a better look. Okay, this is very helpful for me as well, because then I can show the viewers what this looks like. Bugcatcher Brian. Bugcatcher Brian has one Pokemon, and his Pokemon is Weedle, which we have yet to capture. And Sass will come out first because Sass is at the front of the party. Now Sass can use Tackle or Gust. Since Weedle is a Bug-type Pokemon, and Sass is a Flying-type Pokemon, using Flying-type moves will deal more damage to Bugs because Flying is better than Bug-type. I believe there's like, what, 18 different Pokemon types, and each type has an advantage and disadvantage against other types. Normal attacks will just do normal damage to most Pokemon, but I'm going to go for a Gust because I want to do more damage. When I say more damage, it literally just multiplies the damage by 2. So if I had used Tackle, it would have done half of that damage to the Weedle. Weedle is going to go for a Poison Sting, and we're just going to use Gust one more time, and that should be plenty to knock it out. Super effective, and as you can see, if it says super effective, that means it did 2 times the damage. And you also get some experience, and the rest of your team also gets experience, which is pretty neato burrito. Before I knew it, I lost. You got 36 Pokédollars for winning and 3 Pokeballs. As you can see, you're not winning a lot of money, so you gotta be careful how much you're spending your Pokédollars. Oh, sorry about that. Now, these Pokemon are actually kind of hard to see in the grass. I don't know if you guys can see, there's like 2 Caterpie, 3 Metapod, and this one's got a blue aura around it as opposed to the red one that we saw with the Pidgey. So let's see what happens when it's blue. Blue means it's tiny, so size tiny. Boop. And we got a nice. Because we hit it right before it started doing its motion. If I had waited any longer, it would have bounced my Pokemon back. So we have captured this Metapod. It's gonna open up the Pokédex screen once again. Sass grew to level 7. That's always useful, am I right? Don't sass me, please. So much level ups. Okay, and then we're going to go to the Pokemon screen, and now you can see that there is a green S, which means this is the smallest we've seen. So as far as height, this dude is much smaller. Well, this gal, because it's female, you can see the gender as well, is much smaller than the other Metapod we captured and is also much lighter. And yeah, if you care about completing Pokédex in terms of height and all that, you might want to consider doing this. Oh, and you see who's hiding right there? Oh, let's get a giant one. This is Weedle. But before we do that, Pokédex, because we have yet to show off the Pokédex feature. And we have seen a Weedle in battle, but we have not captured one yet. And this one might be useful later on. So in the Pokédex, Pokemon that you have seen but not captured look kind of faded. So we have captured a Kakuna, and you can see it in full color, but we have not captured a Weedle, and it's kind of blurred out. Not blurred out, but you get what I mean. If you open up, press A, you can do check data. This will give you the type of the Pokemon at least, and its number, as well as the type of Pokemon, the hairy bug. The other cool feature though, the one that you actually want to use, is check habitat, and this will help you complete your Pokédex, because it will open up the map of the Kanto region, and it will show you with this little icon where the Pokemon will appear. So we can see that it shows up in Route 2, like I mentioned earlier, and it also shows up in Viridian Forest, and that's the only place in this whole region where you can catch Weedle. So if I was looking for a Weedle, I would know from the Pokédex to come here. But we already see plenty on the screen, so let's just capture this giant one for fun. It's huge! Even though it looks tiny. That's one thing I've noticed, that even though they mentioned that some of them are huge and some of them are tiny, the relative size they appear on the screen is always the same. So even though it says it's huge, the sprite, the image that you see on your screen will still be the same size as a regular. Alright, so this guy really doesn't want to be captured. And it is a guy. I like how I'm just assuming their genders without even looking at the thing. I apologize. But we have finally captured ourselves the giant Weedle. Weedle! And of course we gotta go through this whole level up screen some more. And the Pokédex will now register the Weedle. Beware of its sharp stinger on its head. It hides in grass and bushes, where it eats leaves. Poor dudes, they're just chilling here trying to enjoy some leaves, and we're over here trying to catch them. And I'm gonna show off another feature that is pretty useful for the Weedle. Not just Weedle, but any Pokemon, is that there is this new feature called chaining. Basically, if you capture more than one Pokemon of the same species in a row, you will start a chain. So we have captured a second Weedle in a row, which when we now go to the Pokédex page after this capture sequence thing, we'll get to see Catch Combo 2. Keep it up. Now the thing with catch combos is that they will activate 1, you start getting rarer Pokemon, but 2, you'll start getting stronger versions of that Pokemon. So the first Weedle I captured has very random stats. They can be all over the place. But as I get more and more captures in a row, so that it continues counting up the counter, the Weedles I encounter in the wild will all have stronger stats, which means catching more Weedle will give me stronger Weedle. So the last Weedle I capture is more likely to be stronger than the previous Weedle I caught. Weedle. It's try saying Weedle 500 times faster. Jeez, hard to pronounce. There's one more right here. Let's see if we can get to it before it fades away. Alright. Weedle boy. Whoa, this one did not want it. Nope, he was like, not today, sir. Not today. So, capture complete. Now, something you might start to worry about is the fact that you might run out of Pokeballs. So, I don't exactly suggest doing this early in the game. However, it is a pretty cool feature and it works really well later on, especially once you can afford a whole bunch of Pokeballs. Okay, so Billy wants to learn Double Slap. let's see what Double Slap does. You can also press A on the new move, and it'll open it up to see what you do. Has an accuracy of 85, power of 15, and the target is slapped repeatedly back and forth, 2 to 5 times in a row. Do we want to Double Slap, or do we want to delete one of these other moves? I will keep Pound, because Pound has a for sure hit. It has 100 accuracy. So I'm just gonna ignore Double Slap for now. Billy did not learn Double Slap. You by no means have to learn any of the new moves you run into. Alright, so from now on we're only gonna catch Weedle. As you can see, some of them will fly away, some of them will just despawn. If you walk around, there's plenty of items to collect, like the tiny mushroom. This item is one of those items that you can actually sell in a store. They have no other use. You just go to a store and you sell them and you get a lot of money. Now this area does look like quite a bit of a maze, does it not? Just like those people informed us. Now, is this guy gonna fight us? Yep. If they see you, they will fight you. You don't have to see them, but they have to see you. Hey, you have Pokemon, right? Come on, let's battle them. And here we have Bug Catcher Rick, who also has one Pokemon. You can see how many Pokemon I have in the upper right hand corner. He's got a Caterpie, and we know that if we touch this little red thing, it's gonna make a stink bug stinky all over the place, so we're just not gonna mess with that. And we know that Gust is a super effective move against Caterpie, so we're going to use Gust. And not only the level difference, but since it's a super effective attack, it's an easy knockout. You also get very little experience. And no, Caterpie can't hack it. He's not supposed to hack, he's a bug. They're not computer programmers. They don't got degrees in programming. What's this? A trainer tip. How you try to catch a Pokemon depends on the kind of controller you're using. If you change your controller, you can check the help option that appears to basically give you the tutorial. I'm using the Pokeball. Alright, there's another one right here. We can see more Caterpie just chilling out. They got pretty good disguises. Most Pokemon, you see them in the wild, they're not that well disguised. Alright, this guy, will he fight us? He's just looking around. He's not gonna fight us. Let's see what he has to say. I was throwing Pokeballs to catch Pokemon and I ran out of them. That's why you can never have too many Pokeballs. That is a good point, kiddo. We do not want to be running out of Pokeballs. Alright, let's walk up this way where we can encounter another trainer. Now this one's a pretty cool trainer. You can completely skip her fight by going through the left side. But she says, hey, do you know if Bulbasaur appear in this forest? And the answer to that is yes, Bulbasaur will appear in this forest. This is the soonest you can catch a Bulbasaur in any game, and it's pretty cool. Now she does not have a Bulbasaur, she has a Nidoran female. And we're just gonna sass her. However, Nidoran female is a poison and ground type Pokemon. So when we use our flying type move Gust, it's no longer gonna say it's super effective because it's not super effective, it just does normal damage. That's something to keep in mind. A move that's very strong against one Pokemon might be very weak or just do normal damage to another. Either way, the power of Sass will defeat any enemy, including Last Brittany. Could you listen to what I have to say, please? Yes, we heard you, girl. There's a Bulbasaur somewhere in this forest for us to capture. But first, we're gonna catch this Weedle. And after capturing this Weedle, our Caterpie has leveled up to level 7. And why does that matter? Because at level 7, Caterpie evolve. And what is evolution? It is basically one Pokemon changing into another Pokemon. In this case, we've already captured Caterpie's evolution, which is Metapod, so we get to see the evolution sequence, which very much resembles all the previous sequences. You got this bright, glowy light, you got the transformation, and now your Caterpie has evolved into a Metapod. Most Pokemon will evolve from reaching a certain level. Not every Pokemon. Some evolve using special stones, some evolve while trading. Some will learn moves while evolving, so for example, Metapod will learn Harden. So as soon as your Caterpie evolves into Metapod, it will learn the move Harden. I did mention you can skip this fight, and that's because you can just walk through this grassy area. In the past, there usually would be Pokemon that would pick a fight with you, just randomly appearing in the wild. Well, just like this Caterpie. So even though there aren't random wild encounters, sometimes a Pokemon will randomly spawn in. Now the reason I'm running away instead of catching it is because if you catch a different Pokemon, you will break the catch chain that you're having. Alright, Bellsprout, what are you reading? I guess we're going to first make you disappear because we don't care. And you can just press B and it will take you to the runaway screen right away. It's pretty useful, that way you don't have to actually scroll down. Trainer tips. Shake your Joy-Con when it's not attached to your system and you can play with your partner. And we've showed off that last time, so we're not going to do that again. This, I believe, is another skippable battle. You can just literally walk around this dude. But am I gonna? No, because there's a Weedle. Yo, you can't punk out in a battle if you're a real Pokemon trainer. That's something that has to do with the difference between battles and catches. See, in previous games you'd have the run option whenever you enter a battle, but there was wild battles and trainer battles. Now there's only trainer battles, so there is no run option. See, we just bag, that's the last thing we have. Now this guy's gonna send out a Kakuna, which is again weak to our Gust. So we're just gonna Gust this dude and he's not gonna die. It's gonna use Harden, which increases its physical defense stat. And it's gonna give us the text right there, defense rose. Now that means that if I'm to use Tackle, Tackle will do less damage now than it would have before. But I'm not gonna, because we already know that Gust is really strong, so we're just gonna stick to Gust. Sorry, Kakuna. Have a nice day. We beat Bugcatcher Doug. Huh! I've got no other Pokemon to battle with. 36 Pokédollars and 3 Pokeballs. Thank you very much, Trainer Doug. And just for consistency, I do want to show you guys that there isn't anything up in here. It's just a nice open area. Yeah, I lied. There was a Pokeball hidden behind the tree. It's not a Pokeball, it is a potion. It's one of those items you can use to heal your Pokemon in battle or after battle. You don't have to use potions during battles at all. And then there's these sneaky cat. You see how sneaky these guys are? Oh boy. Okay. Now we're near the end of Viridian Forest. And there's 2 Pokemon we've yet to see, so I might have to come back to this area to show them off. Do you want to know the trick for throwing a Pokeball well? There's a trick to it. I kind of just yeet it and hope it works. Last Jocelyn. She also has 1 Pokemon, and this time she's going to send out a Pidgey. Pidgey, as we know because we have a Pidgey, is a flying normal type Pokemon. And this is a good opportunity to show you off another feature. This thing that says Pokemon right here will let you look at your party, but apart from just looking at your party, it'll also let you switch this Pokemon in. Pikachu's electric type attacks deal a lot of damage to flying type Pokemon, so we're going to switch Sass out, and we're going to send out the Pikachu that we've caught earlier on. It's gonna go for a sand attack, which decreases our accuracy. Accuracy was not on that little spider web looking chart. It's more like one of those side things, but basically it has to deal with how much accuracy a move has. So this has lowered the accuracy of our moves. So moves with 100 accuracy, I believe, now go down to 90. And we'll use a Thunder Shock, which super effective, deals double damage. And since Pikachu's electric, it'll do even more damage. So basically, super easy victory for us. Thank you, Last Jocelyn, for letting us show off that we can switch our Pokemon. Alrighty. We see a lot of falling leaves, which is scary because it's supposed to be an evergreen forest, it looks like. What? Oh, and do you see this? This is a Bulbasaur. It's one of those rare Pokemon that can appear up in here, and I'm gonna actually encounter it because I don't want it to run away. Now this will break my combo, but one of the reasons Bulbasaur appeared in the first place is because I had a combo. Combos will help make these Pokemon appear faster, and since it is in yellow, I'm actually going to give it a berry. Now I will show off one more feature for you guys. You can go to bag, and you can switch the type of Pokeball you have by selecting the other Pokeball, and then you just do use this item, and it'll switch the Pokeball. Now, well, that Pokeball, did it bounce back to us? Nope, it is gone forever. I done doofed my dudes and dudettes. I was supposed to show it off. I was hoping it wouldn't attack it, but attacked it is gone. Either way, we have captured ourselves a Bulbasaur. which is Pokemon #1 in the Pokédex. And let's see what the Pokédex has to say about Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur is a grass poison Pokemon, and it can go for days without eating a single morsel. In the bulb on its back, it stores energy. It doesn't create energy, it actually has to eat. I never realized that about Bulbasaur, but that's how it be sometimes, and oops, I did not mean to do that. Oh, and there's the last Pokemon that you can see, and this depends on which game you have. So because I have Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, this Pokemon is going to be a Beedrill. If you have Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, this Pokemon would be a Buterfree. So it's kind of version exclusive, but not really, because whoa, we do not want to give up catching this Pokemon. No, we want to get ready to capture it. Now, it is gonna fly around and attack. Now, you do have to change how far you toss. Since this guy's flying around, you do have to have a bit of a longer throw if you're using the Pokeball. And we have captured ourselves a Beedrill, which is the final evolution of Weedle. So if that Kakuna gets to level 10, it's going to evolve to a Beedrill as well. But we don't need to level it up anymore because we have captured ourselves the Beedrill in question. It has 3 poisonous stingers on its forelegs and its tail. They are used to jab its enemy repeatedly. And Beedrill is a very powerful Pokemon, so if you are looking to use a Pokemon for battles, online battles and all that type of stuff, I would highly suggest you get yourself a Beedrill, because they're strong. And then there's this beautiful, look at how, look at how beautiful this is, just sunlight going right down on it. It's almost as if it wants to be taken. And it's a lure. Now, I'm gonna talk about lures later on, but basically a lure will make an additional Pokemon spawn in. So if I was to use the lure right now, a bit more Pokemon would show up in the overworld. Trainer tips. Visit Professor Oak at his research lab to have him check out your progress on your Pokédex. Will do, but I don't feel like it right now. And here is our last bug catcher that we're going to have to fight. Hey, wait up! What's the hurry? Why the rush? Well, we're already in the 30-minute mark, so... You're challenged by bug catcher Sammy. He's going to send out a Metapod. And we're going to send out Sass. I love Sass. We're gonna use Gust. Since I believe we have not yet fought a Metapod in a battle, this is our battle against the Metapod. Who, by the way, are weak against flying type moves. If you haven't figured that part out yet. Metapod are weak against flying type moves. Alright, Bugcatcher Sammy is defeated. He gives, we're good at this. We got 36 Pokédollars and 3 Pokéballs. And we are done with this forest because unless something randomly jumps us, here's this sign. Leaving Viridian Forest, Pewter City ahead. There is another little rest area with 3 people in it this time. Many Pokemon live only in forests and caves. You need to be persistent and look everywhere to get different species. Thanks for the info. The higher Pokemon CP is, the higher its combat power is. I hear CP is a value made up of various stats and things combined. I actually have no idea what CP is, I'm gonna have to research it. I'm sorry, I don't have information on it. Have you noticed the skinny trees on the roadside? They can be chopped down with a secret technique called chop down, I hear. Too bad we don't get access to it until much later. And we are done with Viridian Forest, and we're somehow back to Route 2. So in case you missed catching a Caterpie and a Weedle over the other end of Route 2, this is still Route 2. The reason is they're actually connected. That right here is Diglett Cave, and if you can use the chop down technique, you can just kind of go along the forest. Not through the forest, but along the forest on Route 2. And we have reached Pewter City. There's quite a lot to do in Pewter City, and we're racking up the hours, well, minutes, quite a bit. So I think I will save exploring Pewter City for the next episode. We've caught quite a bit of Pokemon, we've seen all of Viridian Forest, and it is a good point to save. It's also a good point to show you how to save, because I don't think I showed that last time. You just open up the menu, you go to save, and there's multiple options. I believe this will actually put a Pokemon in your Pokeball, but we are just going to save our progress. And now our game is saved. We can just turn it off, and once we turn it back on, we'll be right back here. Alright guys, thank you for watching. I hope you're enjoying this series so far, and I will see you in the next episode. Have a nice day.